As Russian aggression dominates the headlines. Will the Russian leaders invade Europe, use nuclear weapons? How can they be defeated without causing a third world war? These are the questions that dominated the minds of a Canadian diplomat, Gary Smith, as he lived in Moscow. He's a Russian speaker. His apartment was bugged. His guard was up with everyone he meets. He could have been arrested and sent home at any time. But no, this is not today. This is all 1972. Gary Smith was on his first diplomatic posting in the Cold War Moscow, and he was at the center of the historic hockey series between Canada, yes, and the Soviet Union. Of course, this is the Summit Series, with 4 games played in Canada and 4 in Moscow. Smith was part of the diplomatic staff in the frosty behind-the-scenes negotiations. And in his new book, this book, Ice War Diplomat, Hockey Meets Cold War Politics at the 1972 Summit Series, it's out on bookstands now, he pulls back the curtain on how to deal with the Russians at a time of high tension. 50 years later, how is this relevant? Wait till you hear this. Joining me now is the former ambassador to Jakarta, and of course, who was the ambassador at the time, Gary Smith. Your first diplomatic posting, sir, what a pleasure to have you, Ambassador, was in Moscow. How, as a junior diplomat, did you get involved in the Hockey Summit Series?
Well, I was assigned to Moscow. My wife and I had learned Russian for a whole year. I was a hockey player. I played for the Moscow Maple Leafs. We played against Russians in a beer league, played against the Czechoslovak embassy, and I followed everything. I was responsible for exchanges between Canada and the Soviet Union, and we had a general exchanges agreement that included sportsmen.
What kind of tensions, I mean, for Canadians, this is a legendary series, as you know. What kind of obstacles were you dealing with as you were trying to overcome, Cold War tensions to negotiate this Cold War on ice?
Well, first of all, you had to know who's in charge in the Soviet Union, who's calling the shots, how do you get at them? And I think it's clear today, as it was back then, you have to go to the top. You have to deal with a Brezhnev or Kosygin, or with a Putin. You've got to find some common ground between the two sides. But having access and engaging our leaders at the top is the way to go.
Well, we Canadians know from watching this incredible series, sir, what happened. What's the most surprising thing behind the scenes that Canadians might not know in terms of the politics of this?
Well, I think the politics, maybe what they don't know is that Premier Kosygin came to Canada in October 1971 and was met with a huge round of protests in Ottawa. People from Ukraine, Poland, Baltic states, the Jewish community of Canada. And everywhere he went in Canada, he was faced with demonstrations until he got to Vancouver. And there was an NHL game organized for him to see. He was tired out. He didn't want to go. Paul Martin Sr. said, "No, come on. You'll get a good reception." And sure enough, he goes out to center ice. There's Orland Kurtenbacher of the Vancouver Canucks, Henri Richard of the Montreal Canadiens at center ice. Kosygin comes, and 16,000 people in Vancouver give him a standing ovation. And for the very first time, the Soviet flag flew beside the Canadian flag in an NHL arena. And at that very moment, I think Kosygin realized that the way to deal with Canada and to deal with protests and everything was through hockey.
Tell me about how important was it to the Russians to win? Like, for Canadians, we see this as kind of a proxy for the Cold War, this victory. How important was it for Russia to win, and how deeply impacted were they when they lost?
Well, I think it was important for them to win, but it was more important for them to win medals. The Olympics and the World Championships meant a lot more to them than playing Canada. They wanted to see whether they were ready to beat the best, and they organized the series at the same time as the Munich Olympics were on. So if they lost, it wouldn't be a big deal. But as it got going, 150 million Soviet citizens tuned into this series. There was wall-to-wall and wall-to-wall coverage in Canada. So it meant a lot. And when they lost in the last 34 seconds, they started to say, well, the winner of this series was hockey itself. Neither Canada nor the Soviet team, but hockey was the ultimate winner.
But we know Canada was. Okay, but I mean, hockey did win. Just before I let you go, this book comes out 50 days into Russia's horrific invasion of Ukraine. Does Canada have the same influence on Russia today? And what can we learn from the 72 negotiations that might be relevant to politicians today?
We do not have the same influence that we did in 72. The Soviets were very keen on engaging Canada as a counterweight to the American efforts to bring China into the fold. And we had American technology here that they were interested in. Plus, we had a leader that wanted to engage with the Soviet Union to prevent nuclear war with them and conventional war. So Canada had an interest, the Soviet Union had an interest. We have not really been engaged with Russia in the last number of years, and Russian interest in Canada has diminished.
Is there anything we can learn today about Russia, dealing with Russia as the situation in Ukraine unfolds?
Well, I think you have to deal with Russia from a position of strength. We need to make sure that the Russians are not going to make any move on NATO, that we have defense capabilities to withstand that. And then we've got to continue to engage them through diplomatic means, because you need to be able to have eyes, ears, and voice in Moscow to try and work out some form of solution.
Your book is fascinating. Gary Smith, former ambassador, the author of Ice War Diplomat, Hockey Meets Cold War Politics at the 1972 Summit Series. Thank you, and what a wonderful read it is, sir.
Well, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.